Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Anime Watch Club, a bi-weekly group discussion and review where the hosts of the WDYSA anime podcast nominate and vote on shows either we haven't seen or shows that hopefully lead to a great conversation. On today's episode, the Kraft Lawrence cheese conspirators of the WDYSA anime podcast will be reviewing the 2009 anime Spice and Wolf Season 2. Let's meet today's PWHN ABTAOKLAHTWW associations, or people who have been negatively affected by the actions of Kraft Lawrence and Hollow the Wise Wolf Association. First up, he is the North's greatest aquarium merchant. We got Jay. Jay, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. Thanks for having me on. It's been a minute since I've been here. I'm happy to be back.
Glad to see ya. Next up, ravaged by the fur trade, Kraft Lawrence is responsible for the downfall of his feline pelt trade. We got Cat. Cat, how's it going?
I still have not forgotten that. I'm gunning for him. At some point, I'm gonna get back at him. But right now, I'm doing great.
You should align with the church. I bet it'll go faster. Our
Yeah,
first
I'll be
moderator of the night, the Cape's Grace diaper merchant. For all ages, we got Miles. Miles, how's it going?
Oh, it's going good. I'm more of like a diaper. I don't know. I change a lot of diapers. I'm tired.
You're like Jiffy Lube for diapers. I don't know if that's the right one to use, but let's go with that.
We would. It's there.
It's there. And Pat.
We're on fire tonight. But yeah, all right. Let's talk about Spice and Wolf season 2. Third out of 3 shows in the past 3 shows we've watched, 2 of them have been Spice and Wolf. So we'll be starting with our first impressions. The main thing to note, this came out in 2009, so the summer 2009 season, and the studios were Brainspace, and Marvy Jack is also listed, but I believe Brainspace was the main studio that worked on it, which is different from Studio Imagine, which was the for the first season. So that's something to note, I think, as well. But yeah, let's do our first impressions. So Miles, why don't you start us off?
So after our Bang Dream episode, I gave Bang Dream a 6, and I think I'm okay with that. I've made my peace with the fact that I am that high on Bang Dream. But I had given Spice and Wolf season 1 a 6, and I was like, Spice and Wolf is better than Bang Dream. So I moved Spice and Wolf up to a 7. And then I watched season 2, and I was like, nope, I was right. And so I have moved Spice and Wolf back down to a 6.
Is Bang Dream a 5 now?
No, Bang Dream's
No?
a 6. Bang Dream is just as good as Spice and Wolf season 1, and here's a little spoiler alert, maybe even better than Spice and Wolf season 2.
Ooh.
I know that it's hard to take my word at face value because I started the Bang Dream episode by saying it was better than Bocchi the Rock. But
It is. You're right.
What?
thanks, Kat.
Well, yeah, I said you're right, as in it's hard to take you seriously. You're
Well
right,
played.
as in Boji the Rock is better. I'm just saying you have bad takes it right now. You
Yeah.
have 2 bad takes so far.
The point
And
being,
we're like maybe 5 minutes in.
the twinkle little star scene made me feel something. Perhaps that was a negative emotion, but it was an emotion.
Yeah.
I'm just so over these 2 people. I can't take Hollow and Kraft Lawrence. We'll talk about this more later, I'm sure. But those are my initial thoughts. I don't
For sure.
recommend this. If you watch the first season, shame on you. You fell for a trap.
I won't make that joke. Never mind. Fair enough. Yeah. So if you liked the first season, would you recommend it?
I'm not giving advice to people like that.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Cat, go ahead, buddy. What are your first impressions?
So my first impressions for this season is that the visual quality has gone up. I will say that. I hate to agree with Miles, not about Bang Dream, but just that it's going down a little. Like the quality of the interpersonal relationship has gone down a little bit, and I wish that wasn't the case. Because I want there to be like I want another season of like Polo and Kraft being more like having that same type of chemistry as they did. It felt like the chemistry was a little bit off during this season. Would I recommend it? I mean, if you've already watched season 1, I would say yeah, you can watch season 2, but I think season 1 is a pretty good ending place, personally. But I mean, if you're if you're gonna be like Miles, I would say maybe stop. If you just want to finish the show, sure, finish the second season.
Alrighty. Jay, what about you?
So I'll start this off by saying for the listeners at home who don't know this that have not watched Spice and Wolf season 1. You can throw your tomatoes now if you'd like. I'll give you a second. Go ahead and toss them.
I'm throwing an apple at you.
You know, this is where if we had the soundboard function in Discord for this server, we could have boos or vine booms, maybe, or a tumbleweed sound effect, crickets, etc. But Discord has opted to not give Peter that power yet. So here we are. That being said, let me actually give my thoughts now. I actually liked Spice and Wolf. Maybe it's because I haven't experienced it quite as much as, other people here have, namely Miles. Like I've had half as much time with the duo, but I really enjoyed their like back and forth and stuff like that, like them constantly trying to one up each other and the verbal jousting that they did was pretty enjoyable in my opinion. Hollow is actually a pretty like I think she's a pretty solid female lead compared to a lot of like anime and romance anime in particular. She's very proactive in my opinion, very independent on the surface at least. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed her vibes. Kraft Lawrence, I could kind of take or leave him. Watching him do his like economic stuff was pretty interesting actually. Like I actually enjoyed the economic aspect of the show quite a bit with the trading wars and stuff like that. And yeah, like overall pretty enjoyable. And the soundtrack is really good too. I think that helped a lot for me personally was that the soundtrack was super solid.
It does have a really good soundtrack.
Yeah.
I agree as well. The music
So
is
I
always
would
very pleasant.
I would recommend it to somebody. Even honestly, even if you haven't watched the first season, I would recommend it. Like obviously go watch the first season if you got time, but if somebody just like said like put this on at some point and you're like there with them, I wouldn't recoil away from it because you haven't seen the first season is more what I'm saying.
I agree with that actually. Yeah, I think it'd be pretty easy to pick up midway because like you can just kind of tell who Hollow and Lawrence are right. You know, like you get their vibes, you get what they're doing, you
Yeah,
get who they are as people generally. I mean,
there's
obviously it
not
helps.
like a ton of recap, honestly. Like I was a little confused at first. Thankfully, I had Miles make a handy dandy PowerPoint, which helped me a lot. So, if you got someone in your life like that who's addicted to office software in a really crippling way, just get them to do that for you, and it'll help out a lot. And I recommend you do that as well. Actually, that's a good thing to have.
Good recommendation. Yeah.
Mm.
All right. So if you have all those things, great. A recommendation from Jay. Either way, though, it's a recommendation from Jay, I think. And Pete,
Yes.
what about you?
So going into this, I guess from the first season, this is like the type of story where I didn't really think like the animation really mattered that much, but then just seeing how big of an upgrade season 2 was compared to season 1 after being only out for a year really shows you the quality of like what a good studio can do. And there's a reason why the people who did season 1 I don't think are a studio anymore, and why Brian's Base or Brains is it Brains Base? Brains Base is still making quality content to this day. So I thought that was like a really fun, like inside the industry type of thing. So that was really fun to see. There's a couple things I liked more about season 2 than season 1, and then vice versa. I thought some of the lengths that they were going to create the scenarios seemed a little extra to me in season 2. However, I felt like some of the interpersonal relationships that they had were done a little bit better this time around. If you're a fan of season 1, I would definitely recommend season 2. I do think it's a little worse, but I think it has like a compelling story, and I think it does a really good job of making you kind of want more to see where the story ends, or what's the next chapter of their life. And I think they did that again, because it's one reason why I really liked season 1. I immediately started season 2 because I did that. And if it had a season 3, I probably would have started season 3 as well. So yeah, I would recommend it for people who like season 1.
And yeah, I'd echo a lot of the same points. The music is wonderful. The animation is a lot better. I don't know. I still enjoyed their dynamic, but it felt very samey, like what Miles was saying. I think where it's like you expect their relationship to evolve a little bit faster, maybe from what you're seeing. That's I guess that's the way I would put it. But at the end of the day, it's still really fun when they're not bickering, I shouldn't say, but bantering back and forth when they're trying to. I think Jay said it when they're trying to win that verbal joust. It's really fun, and I like that because it reminds me of Buddy Girl Senpai a little bit, even or other shows where the two leads are, yeah, or Origairu, another one of my favorites too. Where
Tora.
no, that's physical jousting, usually.
Hey, she boxes him at the end there. She was beating the crap out of Kraft Lawrence at the end.
You're right.
Did he deserve it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. Exactly. I wouldn't argue that Ryuji deserved it in Toradora, but hey, what do I know about little fucking what kind of tiger was she? Or
Palm
Top.
top.
Yeah, great. Good Jeopardy question, guys. All right. Yeah, so I guess that's about it on my end though. I would recommend it for people who enjoyed season 1. And like Jay said, I really do think you could just pick this up and not really. I mean, you'd feel like you were picking up a story in the middle, but not nearly as you wouldn't nearly be as lost as you would with, I don't know, another show. I was gonna say Vinland Saga, but you wouldn't be that lost because you only missed the prologue, right? It's in Vinland Saga with season 1. So I don't know. Any other show, you'd be a lot more lost. All right. So yeah, let's do spoilers for season 2 going forward, and I guess my first talking point for us would be, how did we feel like tonally the two seasons were different? Like what was the major changes between the studios, or if you felt that there were at all any changes?
I think the biggest thing about Spice Wolf season 2 is more of the interpersonal relationship between Hollow and Kraft, where before in season 1, yeah, they played the games with each other, but it was more of like feeling themselves out and kind of just going with the journey. And then in season 2, to me, it felt like it was more the journey is not like making money, it's them becoming like a partnership, like romantically. And I think that we saw that like really early in season 2, where during this whole NTR arc of a Marty, that little fucker, but like he goes okay, yeah, we get to that later, but like Kraft like goes out of his way to try to get information for Hollow about like her past from the bird deity that he visits, and it like really showed that's like he's sacrificing more than just his money. He's sacrificing his time for her in like ways to benefit her and not like their pocketbooks. To me, I thought that was like a really cool like foreshadowing, because especially with what we got at the end of the last episode, I thought it was just like it really coming together of like that was the message they were trying to send in season 2.
I agree with a lot of what Pete said. I think my issue with the differences were that just instead of it being more of a banter focused like season, it was more of a, like what Pete said, a more interpersonal season. And even though that's really nice to see, I wasn't really expecting like a romantic comedy type thing, or not even romantic
weren't?
comedy, but I wasn't expecting the more I wasn't expecting a more romantic theme than in season 1. Like it pushes more of the romance to the forefront rather than like the economics or the banter. So that's what I was trying to say.
Gotcha. I was
That
like,
makes
what,
sense.
I was
A lot
like,
of
what do you think the
anime-
show is about?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, a lot of times animes will just like have a romantic subplot last, and this is just an anime thing. This is just like a media thing, but like forever. And so I think that makes sense, Kat. Jay, how would you say that my PowerPoint's tone and season 2 differed?
I would say that I definitely was expecting a lot more just straight up crime to be occurring. It really seemed. I was getting hints of Narcos from the
Okay.
PowerPoint. Like that was definitely the vibes. Was Narcos or Breaking Bad even?
I
So I was a little disappointed they weren't scamming people. I think it'd be more interesting if Kraft Lawrence was a piece of shit.
They cook meth in season 3.
yeah, I will say they commit a lot more crime in season 1
Okay.
than they do. Like there's like a whole smuggling arc and everything there. And so in this one, I think that they're a lot more law abiding, which is like a difference in tone. Like while they're still like trying to gain like an advantage, it's not like let's put a bunch of gold into the stomachs of sheep and bring them into a city so we don't have to pay taxes on them, which is literally what like they were doing in season 1. I think like I don't know how to me I think the relationship didn't take like I don't think there was a big tone change, and I like think that was like my issue. Like the banter and stuff was pretty similar. Hollow was insecure the whole time, like she was in season 1. Lawrence was unfathomably dumb the entire time. Um, because like Hollow's super insecure, but she's like basically begging him to say that he wants to be with her, and it takes him like a really long time to do that. But then he does, and then she's like, "Well, too bad. I don't want you to be with me." And I like that. I think is what made me just sort of be like, "Okay, I'm just over this. Just
Roll your eyes a little bit, and yeah,
yeah, just like take the W. You know what I mean? Like he'd rather hang out with you. Also, your hometown or your wherever you came from is gone. Just hang out with him and have a shop. Like that's the other thing that I feel like maybe they're not planning for efficiently enough. Like maybe her town will still be there. I don't know. I haven't read the light novels, but like it's not, right? Like it's gone. So why can't they just like hang out and she live with him? Like why hasn't that idea even been approached? Is my question, I guess.
Well, I think that going back to the first episode or the first season, that it was kind of it seemed really hard to get a brick and mortar store in this world because the church owned so much shit where there were so many other like the type of merchant he is, a traveling merchant. There's so many more traveling merchants than there were, it seemed like, established shop merchants. I feel like that was something because they even say it in this season, the beginning, about like setting up shops outside of the town and being in the town for whatever reasons those were. But I'm assuming it's like taxes and tariffs and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Where it just seems
So
like it's like unless you're a part of the church, it's like really hard to just be like, a locksmith or something like that.
yeah. So I guess what I'm more referring to is because like that's established for sure, but like they're going off of the presumption that when he does the deal with the furs, right? Like when they cut out the middleman for the furs, that he'll have enough money to start a shop.
Yeah.
And then so she's like, "You start your shop, and I'll go on without you." I don't know. It just feels like there's like many solutions to that. Like keep the money, buy the shop after the journey's done. You know, live with her and ask her if she wants to stay.
It's kind of like a love is war thing, don't you think? Where it's like the other person's
Oh,
trying to have the other
I can hear the smugness in your
a
voice.
little
Don't do
bit,
this.
a little bit. But it kind of is because like they kind of like play the game where like they push their buttons just like a little bit more than the next time, and they really want the other person to like go above and beyond what they've been doing. And I feel like that's the game that they're playing.
Okay.
That's a great comparison.
They're also adults compared to Love is War, where they're in high school, so I get that part.
And the message behind Love is War is that love is secretly not war. It's like how Shikamori's not just a cutie. The message was that Shikamori was just a cutie. And that's going to stick with me forever. Um, So
I feel like it's brought up like every other episode.
I love it. I honestly, it's the only good thing about that show. But yeah, I mean, okay, that's like okay. There's like one upping, like because some of their dialogue is fun, right? When he's like, "Oh, I care about you this much," and she's like, "Ooh, well, actually, like, is it this?" And like that's fun, but like you can have that dialogue and not not do the whole like. And I get some of it, right? I do understand some amount of you know, you want some drama in there,
Mhm.
right? You want some of your Amartys to show up so that they're not too secure in their relationship. Maybe not a Marty, maybe you just have the barmaid for that. I don't know, or your Chloe's.
Yo, recipes, Chloe.
Yeah, she's in theory still out there doing something, but
Out of sight, out of mind.
yeah, to me, it's just I don't know. It just felt samey, and this is another thing. Every town we've been to me, has felt exactly the same. Like, we've been to what, 4 or 5 different towns now, and they all feel in my they all look exactly the same. Like, they have some unique quirks to them, like, this one sells furs as opposed to, like, whatever, and,
Yeah.
like, it has, like, a council or but it's all, like, even as they go further north, I think it would be neat to see, like, maybe more pagan influence slowly creeping into
You want
these
to see Game
towns.
of Thrones?
Yes, exactly. Like, that's actually, like, exactly you know what I mean? Like, all of those cities in Game of Thrones have, like they're all part of the same empire, and there are, like, through lines, but, I mean, if I sent you a picture of a building from one of these cities, could you tell me what the city was?
Oh
Like, I
no,
don't think so.
no. Well,
Yeah.
the one that they're at now has a lake outside of it. So if there's like a over the top picture and I could see the lake, then I would know that it's
If
that
the
one.
if the city was actively on fire, you could tell me that it
Oh, true
was.
that as well.
But I think that's, like, part of I think my issue with this is that, like, I really like, every episode of Spice and Wolf that I watch, um
Yeah,
Jay,
yeah,
Jay, you can't do that to me
yeah.
mid-sentence.
Come on. Yeah.
I was
Oh,
dead
no.
serious.
Okay, so like, so her and Amarty should have gotten together. Like, why? She's
I
okay.
guess it was normal back then for like 20. Like he's only 25 too. She could be getting married to like a 40-year-old man if he was 50 as a 15-year-old back
Oh
then, right?
God.
What is it? Half the age and add 8, and if you're something like that, isn't that the rule? I don't know.
I don't think that works for this situation.
Yeah,
No, it
that's
doesn't. Well, it doesn't actually add up. That was the I don't know. That's like the thing that creeps
yeah,
say to try to justify
that's
relationships like that.
Barney Stinson says it in How I Met Your Mother, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, what was I talking about before Jay ruined the show more? Yeah, I just feel like as you watch this, like at least for me, like each arc was more or less the same. All the locations they visited were more or less the same. The antagonists were more or less the same. I will say, like, I think people probably hate him because he had the audacity to like try to bang Hollow. But like Amarty was like a different antagonist, and like I enjoyed that. It was like a rival sort of traveling upstart merchant. It wasn't associated with the church. It wasn't associated with like a big guild. It was, he was just like him doing his thing. And he was like he like gave up his fortune to like try to make his own fortune. And I thought that was cool. I also liked how he almost got to bang Hollow via whatever. I don't know.
Via
But like
Contracts.
contract.
yeah, via contract. The sexiest way to court someone. Um
According to this show, yes.
but I guess like everyone besides me seems like they still enjoyed the show, which is great. But like, do you guys like? Does that make sense to you guys at all? Like that maybe like does it or am I missing the key differences in this because I wasn't giving it a fair chance or something?
I think it makes sense to me. Again, you weren't that hot on the first season either, honestly, either, right? Like you weren't like you didn't love it. I think you liked it the least out of all of us as well.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I think everything you said is fair. I just again I enjoyed their dialogue still enough and their interactions enough to not have it irk me. Although I will say, I probably would not have watched this back to back if I had the choice. I would have liked to have spaced it out a little bit more. Well, I did have the choice, and I still voted for it. But in hindsight, I would have wanted like a month or two off to then watch season 2. I think I would have enjoyed it more than I did, even more than I did in this case. I don't know how the other guys feel about that.
I feel the same way, honestly, because like it would have given me time. This is gonna sound bad. It would have given me time to forget a lot more of the show to enjoy it again. Because we watched it and it was so fresh, I was able to compare the two more specifically rather than have one
Fresh.
be better than the other. Yeah.
I'm the opposite since I watched season 2 immediately after finishing season 1.
What about you? No, I'm kidding.
Very funny.
How did season 2 compare to a PowerPoint?
Yeah, that's what Miles started this question as. Yeah, like kind of it did. Yeah. What else should we talk about then with the show specifically? Does anyone else have anything to say
Yeah.
specific?
How did you guys feel about like this last, like I guess the end game of season 2 with like the plot twist and what they were trying to do in terms of like I guess like last time it was like they're crashing the arms market, and or there was a crashing arms market and they had to like do some shit with gold and stuff like that, and like that was that. And then this one was sort of like insider trading with the silver coins, and then followed by not, I would say insider trading with the fur market, but it was a little like fur market manipulation. How did you guys feel about like the economics in this one compared to season 1? Because I didn't like it in season 2.
I liked the fur part because it was grokkable for me. Like I'm not like a super economics guy, but it was pretty simple. I felt like, and so my little smooth brain was like, good because I can grasp this.
Yeah.
The part, the part. Okay, this is part of the thing too. The big climax of part 1, economically, was Lawrence waiting to see if he could get pyrite, right? So that he could sell the pyrite to cause a market crash. And so they had to make him waiting to see if someone showed up with a bunch of pyrite. Literally just waiting. And like make that dramatic. And I feel like maybe that's part of like what ended up getting to, because they had to make this like as melodramatic as possible. You know what I mean? He was like the scene, you have like the scores going off, the camera work's going off, and he's like, oh no, I can't do it. And it's just like some guy, like it's like watching a stock ticker, basically.
100%.
And
You
it's
wanna know
just
how I
like
made this fun? I thought of pyrites as fidget spinners. It's like I was just like, these people want this item is like useless. Like it's all a lie.
Yes.
I'm just like, you know what else is a lie? Like fidget spinners. They don't do anything. They just spin. I was like, these are just 14th century fidget spinners.
And like that, God, that was like another thing that I don't think I like Lawrence. I just like I get why
No.
he's like fun and everything, but like I don't think I like Hollow either, because she's like they're scamming all these people. That's what they're doing. They're not like actively doing it, but they're preying on the.
They're selling these people their apes. Like they're buying
They're
apes.
NFTs, yeah.
Yeah, that's like what they're doing, right? And like I just.
He ran to Dina and begged to buy the alchemist share of apes.
I wouldn't be surprised if Holo and Lawrence were the people that started the FTX crash. Honestly,
Yeah, I mean that's literally what they were trying to do, though, right? Like, and I guess to me, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I'm a phony, right? I'm a fake person because I'm always like I want these morally gray characters and stuff. And as soon as someone is a piece of shit and like takes advantage of people financially, I'm like, I can't deal with this in my anime. I need power of friendship. I need someone who proves that the market is fake and like does the right thing and like makes it go okay.
See,
Okay.
I
So
wanted the opposite of that. I wanted him to be shittier and have less of a moral code.
I think both
Like,
would have been fun. Like either or.
see,
he should have been. He should have started like life insurance as a policy, as like a concept at will or something. Like,
see, my issue was like, okay, compared to season 1, so season 2 had a lot more of like season 1, it starts off with Lawrence being like, yeah, I don't like salespeople. Like I don't like other traveling merchants. I don't like peddlers. And a lot of the time he was basically doing what he was doing in response to being fucked over, basically. And season 2, it's more or less him getting himself into shit. And
I disagree with the part where he doesn't get himself into shit in season 1 because as I was writing this PowerPoint for Jack and like the reason he gets the arms is to avoid the tax on gold. So like he gets a fuck ton of money and he's like, how do I get slightly more than a
More
fuck
money. Yeah.
oh, I know. I'll trade for this thing. He literally goes into the arms trade. And then like there isn't a war, so he's fucked. Like I will say the first thing that happens to him, absolutely not his fault.
yeah,
Um
No, not at all.
but no. The second thing though, I just feel like he constantly gets himself in shit.
yeah.
Even in season 1, I would say.
But here's the thing: in season 2, it feels like he's instead of him being like responding to things, well, I mean, he's still responding to things, but instead of him becoming more of this like, I've got to get myself out of the shit that I may or may not have caused. It is like I gotta like get ahead,
Yeah,
and
yeah. That's
that's the thing, because like it starts off with him being, for lack of a better term, more innocent than he was,
okay.
and then as he went on, he became more of like he went from being like uh from like trying to be like one of the good salesmen that like is trying to tell you about everything about whatever he's selling in order for you to make an informed purchase, to him being a sleazy used car salesman type of thing. And like that's the character development I get like economically from it.
Yeah, I also think like he tried to learn his lesson, and then Hollow was like, "No, don't
Yeah.
learn the lesson," because he's like, "I don't really want to do this fur trade thing. I want to hang out with you. I don't want to leverage you on this because everything I do goes to shit. And so like, surely this will be terrible if you're like my collateral." And then she's like, "Wow, you're a coward for not betting
It's a
me."
little bit of a revenge, right? Because in the NTR arc, he essentially gets rid of, like, he gambles with Hollow without her permission. And then the second time around, when Hollow has terms on it, he's like, well, now that you have a choice in this matter, I don't want you to do it. And she's like, you did it perfectly fine the last time. Like, why would
Okay,
you do it this time?
can you clear that up for me? Because I thought the thing with the NTR arc, art of an arc, by the way, is was that like he would pay off her debt, and then like if she wanted to, she could marry him, but like she was under no obligation to. And so Lawrence was like, "Sure, pay off the debt. That's just free money for us."
Yeah, but it's more of like, okay, it's like you should say in this, I'm going to do this in this scenario. Say they were married, you should
Yes.
probably ask your wife first, like if that's cool. And he does not do that. Where it's like, yes, this is a win-win for both of us, but he didn't ask her first or anything like that. So I think that's more along the lines of like why she was pissed like about this whole thing. That's kind of like why she was like going along with Marty's like game, because like she's like, well, you did this to me, so I'm gonna fuck around with your psyche because you're kind of mean to me. And I really like that about Hollow.
But wasn't the scenario Amarty just gives them money for free?
So the deal was like, I guess like Hollow is a Marty's, but then Hollow could choose whether she marries him or not. But it was more, I think it was like kind of like how I perceived it was Hollow saw Kraft kind of like use her as like a chess piece and not as like a partner. And then so that's why she was going along with this game, like the mind games that she was playing, where like, well, maybe she does leave me for a Marty because I'm an idiot.
Well, but he's not okay. I don't know. This also frustrated me, and maybe I'm just misunderstanding.
No, it's
it.
a huge problem with that I have with this season.
Okay,
Is I don't think it was as clear as season 1.
Because Amarty goes, she's not a nun. She's in your debt, right? She's not free. I'm going to buy her debt for you, and because she's so beautiful, I'm going to propose to her. And since I'm a nice guy TM and I paid out her debt, she's going to accept, and that'll show you Lawrence. And Lawrence is like understands that their relationship between him and Hollow is like fine,
Yeah.
because so he's like, okay, sure, you can buy her debt from me and free her because she's still gonna travel with me.
Yeah.
And then Hollow learned to read. And
she did.
and so like, but like, I don't. Lawrence got all, but Hollow was never gonna go with a Marty.
But the
Can I
story
ask you
wants you
something?
to think that she might, though.
Yeah, but she never was going to.
But they want you to think that.
Okay.
That's like the. I feel like that's like the whole point. Which is, I did not like this, by the way. But I think that's what it is. Go for it, Jay.
Miles, is your hatred of Shield Hero leaking into this show because they're kind of
Oh,
similar?
absolutely. That is definitely what's going on.
I hadn't even thought about this, but oh my god.
Pro-slavery guy dating a childlike woman, dog woman.
That's another thing where at least Hollow doesn't get the debt bought out and then immediately become his slave again, like Raftalia does. And then recruit other women to be his slave. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's part of it. I think that like
CM the anime.
yeah, I guess like to me, I think I find the relationship drama in this very manufactured because they both clearly just want to 69 like all night, right? Like they're like really into each other. So like,
Jesus, Miles.
I,
Why? You
you're
said a
not
lot of
wrong.
different things there.
because I was gonna say they want to suck each other's dicks, but Hollow doesn't have a dick, so that's how I came up with that.
Nice.
But so Jesus. So like the like to me like, and then like a lot of the financial drama happens because of their like relationship drama, because Lawrence is like, oh, can I trust Hollow, the person who's like gone rogue and helped me 47 times in the last year? And it's like, you can. Of course you can. This is like the 5th time she's pretended she's left you and just secretly helped you. Like, why do you think she's going to leave you? You were so confident she wasn't going to leave you. And then she got upset. But the last 4 times she's been upset, she's secretly been upset at herself, just like this time. Like, there's a pattern here, Lawrence. Pick up on it, buddy. That's where I am.
He is really dumb. Like, for as much money as he makes at points, I feel like he like falls into success. He is a shonen protagonist.
That's finance bros, dog.
I was gonna
Like
say, that's a lot
that's
of
like
us.
finance bros.
As a finance bro, I can confirm, but also man, there's just so many points in this where it's like a huge part of season 1 was the gamble that he did of switching to the arms market and then backfiring on him and causing like him almost to like live a life on the run essentially for how much debt he owed. And then immediately the next arc of season 2 is taking a huge gamble on something maybe not as, I mean, there's a monetary thing involved into it as well, but just like, didn't you learn the first time that when you gambled, you lost? Or I guess he technically won, but like he almost lost everything. Wouldn't you like want to like hedge your bet a little bit. He really needs to learn what like hedging is, and that to me is just like, take some of these gains, my man. Take some of these gains. It's all right to cash out a little bit, and he just never does. Which I respect the hustle, but sometimes you gotta chill for a second and just. I mean, he does at the end, but just realize what's in front of you.
I have a question for you guys. Spice and Wolf is like really highly regarded, right?
Mhm.
Do you think if Spice and Wolf were to come out next season, that it would be Spice and Wolf still?
So let's just say in this hypothetical situation, Shield Hero has come out, right?
Yes.
It is
If
getting a
that
third
were
season.
Spice and Wolf?
No, Shield
No.
Hero.
But
No,
also
like-
maybe Spice
I
and
mean,
Wolf.
and Spice Wolf is getting a new project. It's just not confirmed what it is.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
So
pretty sure. I'm pretty
basically,
sure
what I'm
they'll-
saying is, if Spice and Wolf has not come out, but Shield Hero has, in this hypothetical situation, I feel like it would be lower than Shield Hero, because a lot of people would view Spice and Wolf as a lesser Shield Hero.
I feel like those
They're not in the same.
they're not even
audience at
close to the
all.
same show.
They aren't close to the same show, but the point of like having the generalization of having a young looking female lead and a
This is
a
the same
shut-up
argument
protagonist.
people had with, like, people were like, "Oh, people are gonna think Power from Chainsaw Man is a 02 ripoff," and then like nobody said that at all. Like it's like a very surface. I understand where you're coming from because I brought it up in the first place, like to Miles, but I don't think like. I think that overall the audiences are the target audiences are obviously very different, and then like in practice the audiences are extremely different.
Yeah. I guess
That
like
being said, sorry to interrupt you, Miles, but that being
no,
said,
I was interrupting you. You're
I'll
good to
also
interrupt
say,
me.
as someone who knows like where the stuff has gone after the second season, like I looked into it a little bit. There's no way that this is going to get a third anime season. If they do a project, it'll probably just be another like visual novel or a VR thing. That's what they've been doing a lot.
It's announced that they're getting an anime project. It's just we don't know what it is because the VR thing already happened.
Well,
They
that's
already have a
probably
VR
just-
game.
I don't know what they would do then. Maybe a movie because there's not like I don't think there's like a whole season of stuff left to do.
We actually talked about this on the last episode that there's a spin-off with their daughter.
Yeah, I know. She has 2 sets of ears for some stupid reason.
Does she?
Oh, does
Yes,
Hollow
she has no, Hollow just has wolf ears.
Okay.
Their daughter has human and wolf ears. though.
That she can retract too and hide without like.
Yeah, she can appear to just be human at will.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so like my thought is that I think Hollow is like a pretty influential like waifu, like her.
Agreed.
Yeah, and so like I feel like if she came out now, maybe it wouldn't be as big of a deal. But like you also have to ask the question like, would waifus have taken the same trajectory that they did if Hollow wasn't?
Would Raftalia exist? Right? Like I don't know. Not
Well,
in the
even-
same.
Yeah, even people like Mai or Shinjo
Right.
Kamara or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that sort of like
I agree.
snarky, but it's a lot more playful, friendly snark than someone like Asuka was, right? Where Asuka is like just genuinely a bad person.
Oh, you
Hollow-
meant from Sword Art Online at first, and I was very confused.
Oh no.
Asuna, my fault.
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying with that, Miles. I think it'd be, and I also, to Kat's credit a little bit ago, I also get what you're saying with Shield Hero. I still, I don't know, like, are they that different of an audience? Like, it's really,
Yes.
I feel like the audience, to me, the audience is for both of these shows is, do you want to fuck the animal girl? Like,
I feel like there's
no.
it's
I mean,
definitely a
Spice-
portion. That's
Spice
a
is
pretty
gonna
large
overlap.
portion.
I think
That
that's
is
a
pretty
portion,
large
Spice
portion.
Wolf is primarily aimed at like women. I'm pretty
Is
sure.
it?
Yeah.
With all the naked raccoon or wolf girl, like really? Is it?
Oh,
Like
wait.
again,
Women
I'm
like
not saying
that
it can't be
too.
both. I'm not saying it can't be both. My point is, I think I get what Kat was saying.
I guess it is a seinen though, but like
like,
I-
So
like
there's
it's
so is like your camp and shit like that. Like Seinen is the most useless out of all the demographics in my opinion for actually describing content.
right.
Oh god,
No,
yeah.
but like
That's my take.
the legacy that like Spice and Wolf left, right, is that it's Hollow is one of the, like Miles said, like one of the most influential waifus, and the show is viewed that way, I would say, at this point, especially considering look at what games they're making now. They're not doing more anime. Well, they are doing a new anime project, right? But they're doing VR games where you basically self-insert yourself into Lawrence's shoes and talk
Nope.
to Hollow, right?
Nope.
And that not what happens?
That's
No,
not at
will you
all.
still do you interact with
I think
Hollow?
it's just
Hollow
a
and
visual.
Lawrence, yes.
Ah,
They're part of like an inn, and you're like working with them.
I have a sneaking suspicion that there are a lot more Hollow lines than there are Lawrence lines. That would be my
Maybe.
sneaking suspicion.
I can look into it. I've got
I mean,
I've got a VR.
I don't care. That's my point. Is it's like that type of game is targeted towards a certain
I
type of
feel like we're like
person.
circling in on the fact that Miles is a huge Reddit waifu thing, and he brought that up the first episode, that there's so much more to this story than just her and her attractiveness that like appeals to like the larger audience, that we're living in a bubble and we're targeting on one thing when it's
Yeah,
so
that's
much more than that.
what
I
I was going to
agree.
say. Like, I do think that like there probably is overlap for people who look at Hollow and look at Raphtalia and feel all tingly. Like, I definitely think that there's an overlap there. But like, not to defend Spice and Wolf, but Spice and Wolf is a lot better than Shield Hero, and is
Oh
also
yeah.
very different than Shield Hero. Spice and Wolf isn't really like a power fantasy in any way. Like, it's not a harem like Shield Hero is.
I wouldn't call
Um,
it pro-slavery either. Like
I,
Lawrence makes
That's true.
one pro-slavery thing, and characters are visually disgusted by him saying it. Like,
yeah. Yeah, and it doesn't have like a lot of the like there, there's not like there's like kind of some fight scenes, but like Shield Hero is primarily like an action show with like a anti-hero sort of like protagonist. It's like a revenge story. I think that there's like not that there's no they're both insanely popular anime, right? So like you're going to have some amount of overlap there. But like I mean, I think a lot of people who like action isekais would watch Spice and Wolf and go straight to sleep because they just talk about the weight of silver coins for an hour in a row. you
Oh,
know.
I agree. I just like I don't know. Before I even talked to you, like I knew who Hollow was before I was part of this community, and I knew it because she was like, oh, one of the most famous waifus or one of the most
Yeah.
famous characters in anime, right? And why is that? Because she's funny, hot, and she's a wolf girl, whatever. Like that's like the reason why I knew who she was. In the same way that Shield Hero. Oh, well, for me, genuinely, it was because I knew Mai and Sakuto were voicing the two main characters in that show. That's why it seemed interesting to me. But like, why do you think a lot of people watch that show?
Yeah. Well, so like
Raftalia.
but,
I
like
think there's one huge difference between the two, where I think the people who are like really passionate about Spice and Wolf, the average age is like 35, and the people who are super passionate about Shield Hero are probably 15.
Okay, so how old were those people when they first watched Spice and Wolf though? At this point, that's 20 years now almost, or 15
Yeah, something
years.
like that. Yeah.
So
Okay, fine.
20. So they
40,
were 18.
45.
So they were 18 to 20,
Or
and
45. Sorry, older people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Could you ever see Raftalia talking back to Naofumi the
Oh,
way that
absolutely.
Hollow?
so staying power says a lot about a character. Like, how many waifus can you name from like 3 seasons ago, let alone 20
Yeah.
years ago?
Shikamori is not a cutie.
No, not a waifu at all.
That's 3 years. That's 3 seasons ago.
That's
Sorry, bad joke. No, I think that but like Raftalia does clap back at oh now Fuyu, what are you doing? Why'd you do this? Oh blah 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 blah. She gets mad at him all the time. Like, and again, I know it's not the same. Again,
Yeah.
I'm just saying I think I understand Cat's point, and I think that there's plenty of overlap just because of the nature of like waifu culture and uh I don't know. Some people are very going to just watch Spice and Wolf and not care about the fact that it's so economically invest whatever. They're gonna watch it because they say Hollow's in it, so I'm gonna watch it, right?
But I guess I would say people who watch it for Hollow being a good waifu are like, I think it's more people who watch and really like Mai from Bunny Girl Senpai, or really like Senjo Kahara, or like really like um Yukonon or something like that. Like, I think those are sort is the coaching tree, right? Hollow's waifu
No, that
coaching
makes.
tree.
I agree
Yeah, like
that it's
yeah,
closer than Raftalia specifically, but I think that I still don't think she's that far. She's
I
like
think yeah.
she's like the was it Klingberry, Clins whatever, fucking the Cardinals coach to Sean
Yeah,
McVay. You
Cliff
know,
Kingsbury. I think that we actually maybe we can make an episode out of this, but I think that Raftalia is in like the Rei Ayanami waifu coaching tree.
hmm.
But that I don't know. We've diverted a little
I
bit.
think okay, sorry. I'll say my last piece on it because I was thinking about it. I think it's just a little reductionist to say that people like her because she's a good waifu. I would say she's a good waifu because like she's
She's
just a
interesting.
well-written character in a good show. Like that's why. Like that's what makes her a good quote unquote waifu is because
Yeah.
she's well written and desirable. And yeah, people are also attracted to her, but that's like there are plenty of like characters that look like her who have not withstood the test of time like that is
Yeah,
the thing.
I agree with you, Jay. I think that to put a little button on it, I think Hollow like I get bored of the bit, but I think the bit has depth and is interesting. Where I think Raftalia is a very shallow character.
That's
Yes.
fair.
All right. Do we want to move on to closing thoughts? I don't know. Is there anything else?
Raftalia is also 10 years younger than Hollow, even with
Yeah,
He
Hollow's
is.
questionable age.
and I also think the density as well. I do agree that Hollow's staying power deserves a ton of credit, but I also think the density of and the availability of anime has also changed waifu culture a little bit too. Like how many of us were watching seasonal summer 2008 shows? Like I think that's
Well,
a
I was 8, so
Still had tons of people doing it back then. Like it's obviously Magnitude's more popular now, but they had a ton of shows that were coming out back then. Even like you can go and look at the out list for
Yeah,
shows up back to
we
like
do get
'95 or something.
more. I think more people watch more shows now just because of availability. Like at
For
least
sure,
over in the
for
West,
sure.
at the very least.
That's what I mean by two.
Um,
In the West specifically is what I mean. Like, because like obviously, yeah, there was still a ton of anime coming out back in 2008, probably like 30 shows. But now, like, even in winter, we're getting 35, 40 shows, right? Like per season. Now upwards of 50 and 60 in the summer, right? Like, and it's all available. Like out of that 60, 45 or 50 will be available in the West. Versus back then, you had Toonami, and yeah, sure, you had the anime conventions and everything else where you could buy Blu-rays, or maybe on Amazon, early days of Amazon, you could buy that stuff too. But Crunchyroll was just starting up, I think, right around then. Like it was not nearly as accessible, and most shows weren't. You still, I don't know. I think that has something a little bit to do with the waifu culture. But I also agree though too. Like again, I love Hollow. I think she's a great character. I really do, and I agree with you guys too that it's her staying power isn't just that she's like a hot wolf girl or whatever. It's definitely more than that. But it definitely helps too. I think. I
well,
think it
yeah,
helps a lot.
her design is iconic and good, which is always helpful. Is there anything else we want to talk about before we wrap things up here?
All right. All right, let's do our closing thoughts and our final scores for Spice and Wolf Season 2. Miles, why don't you kick us off?
Absolutely. I forgot to add Spice and Wolf 2 to the spreadsheet, so I'm doing that right now. Okay. Yeah, I think that if I had watched this a little after, like a little, I would have been more keen on it. Like if I had been like, I kind of want to like see that interaction between them a little bit more, I might have been a little hotter on this. Um, for me, it was just more of the same, and I wasn't super hot on it. So like, I lost my appetite for it. There were definitely parts of the season I liked. I think that I liked their schemes a little bit more this season because they were a little more grokkable to me. The only issue I had was with the first one. There was only 2. That's like another thing to think about. Like there was only 2 this season when it felt like there were like maybe 3 or 4 different things last season. Was like I didn't really understand the Amarty arc as far as what was ever actually at stake. Because like in theory, Hollow could just leave him and marry anyone else at literally any time. Like there was nothing special about that. But I don't know. I'm gonna give this a 5. I might fluctuate on this. I don't know what I'm doing, but I gave last season a 6. I didn't like this one as much, and I said
Worse than Bang Dream.
it's worse. It's worse than Bang Dream.
Really?
I
and
love that
I'll-
take.
Miles, come on, man. Think about this for a second.
I'm 100% serious. I understand that I'm wrong for this. Like I get that I'm incorrect, but I liked Bang. I have legit thought about watching Bang Dream season 2.
I have laid back camp at a 10, bro. Like I get it.
Laid-back camp's a lot better than both of these shows.
We all have bad traits.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't you have laid back camp at a 10? What?
Yeah, I said we all have bad traits. I'm not discounting myself.
All right, fair.
That's fair.
I don't know. I don't know if I liked Bang Dream.
Let's just talk about
Bang-
Bang Dream instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the upcoming season of Bang Dream?
Have you bought the guys yet?
No, I have not bought the guys yet, sadly.
Bang Dream season whatever now coming out.
Season 30.
But I might buy the Weiss
Yeah.
Schwartz cards. So yeah, I don't know. It's a 5. I'll probably change it at some point. I'll watch an actual 5 in like a week or 2, and then I'll be like, Spice and Wolf 2 is actually probably a 6. But for the moment, I'm giving it a 5. So that's where
Okay.
we are.
All right, Miles. All right, Kat, what about you? Okay, Miles.
So like Miles, I wasn't as hot. Well, like a lot of the people here, I wasn't as hot on season 2 as I was on season 1. Season 1 was really, really fun. I especially liked the chemistry that they had in season 1 versus season 2. And I wish that they're honestly thinking about what Miles said during his closing thoughts. I think it would have benefited from having more schemes, or maybe even having the schemes being a little bit less long, just to kind of like have a little bit more, I guess, character development in between each one, and have a little bit more, like, I guess, make it feel a little more free flowing, maybe. That's not the right word, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. My point is just that I I'm not real high on this season, and I wish it leaves a lot to be desired versus the first season. And my final score for Spice and Wolf is probably going to be a 6.
A 6? Wow. Okay. A 6 from Kat. Jay, what about you?
Obviously, I can't really speak from the same perspective as others who are disappointed in this season compared to the last one. So I'm just going to speak from my own perspective, obviously. And I'm going to say I really enjoyed this. I liked the music a lot. Hollow is a really well-written character. I think that the amount of emotions that she's able to convey, just like the range of it, was really nice. Like, oftentimes you kind of get romantic leads that are sort of one note or only express like a couple of different emotions towards the other romantic lead. And I think that Hollow, you really got the whole wide range with her and how she interacted with Lawrence. And I think she actually makes like if this was just a show about Lawrence without Hollow, it would be completely unwatchable. I think we can all agree there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is the only thing that makes Lawrence like tolerable, more or less, is his like the fact that he kind of redeems himself by making like it up to her and like the way that they interact and stuff. I really liked their verbal jousting and such. Like I said earlier, that was really good. Um, I liked the Amarty arc. I heard other people complaining about it, but I actually really enjoyed it because, like, the whole point of it is that Hollow trusted Lawrence to not think that she would throw away their relationship to go be with this rich kid. And I think that that was really a really solid arc that sets up some melodrama, which I understand if people don't like the melodrama aspect, but it's also a romance light novel adaptation. So there's going to be a bit of melodrama in my opinion. Um Animation, nothing really to write home about. Character designs were fine. It feels like I think that the show really could have benefited from having more inner monologues being shown from both leads, so we could get a bit more of an idea of their mindset, or at least from Lawrence's side if they didn't want to do the whole like omnipotent POV deal. Uh, with all that in mind, a little bit of a long-winded way of saying I'm going to give Spice and Wolf season 2 a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
7 out of 10. Alrighty. Pete, what about you?
Yeah, there's some things I liked more about this time around than season one, and then vice versa. I didn't like the 4D chess games that they were playing as much as this one, but I liked the interpersonal connections a little bit more. I like that Lawrence is sort of this. While he is pro slavery, I do think that a lot of times he is kind of like what Jay was saying with like inner monologuing. I think Lawrence does a good job at that, but Hollow doesn't. And I do like some of like the internal conflict that he was having at points. Um, and then I did like him kind of towards the end, since this got a little bit more romancy than it was in season one. I really enjoyed like they really like came together at the end. Even though Hollow still was playing the game, was like, oh, just because like you kissed me doesn't mean like I love you, but maybe I could. Yeah, Miles hates that shit. I love that shit. I eat that shit for breakfast. I thought that was great. Yeah, that being said, I think the production quality from season one to season two was night and day. I thought it was just infinitely better in all production aspects. Um, yeah, I still enjoyed it. And also another thing, I think it ended on a really good like, oh, what's gonna happen in season three now? Like, I like that aspect of the ending. I'm gonna give it an 8. I gave season one an 8. I'll give this one an 8 as well.
8 out of 10. All right. Um, Gonna definitely echo Pete on the production of the show. A lot easier on the eye. Uh, like Jay said as well, the music was awesome. Perfect for the uh using the word vibes is the wrong thing, but like the time period that they're trying to emulate, or you know simulate, maybe is a better word. And also just it felt like you were on a journey with them. It was really nice. Like I really liked the music a lot all throughout the show. Um, More and more Hollow and Lawrence interactions, lots of fun there. I do think though it got maybe not old, but it was more. I don't know. I just wanted more. I wanted to move faster. I wanted to get there. I wanted them to get somewhere faster. And I like what Kat was saying too. Like if they did little like shorter arcs, like 2 episode stories rather than these 3 or 4 episode long arcs, might have sped things up a little bit, given them more time to skip between times too, and develop themselves for develop their relationship further. Um, I definitely could see that working pretty well for this show too. Like Pete said too, I think it left off on a pretty good spot. I would consume more, especially if it was a movie. It'd be kind of nice if it was a
Would you
movie, honestly.
consume a VR visual novel game?
No,
Okay.
1,000 times no. I will not.
Well, if you
Well,
change your mind, boy, have I got some news for you.
Yes.
oh, you're gonna tell me that I can? Yeah, never mind. Yeah, no, I'm good. I will never stoop to that. But yeah, I think this was solid, but I enjoyed it slightly less than season one overall. So I am going to give this a 7 out of 10 for season two. That brings our total score to a nice and even, I believe, if I can do math correctly. I can't because I
No,
used
it's
the
yeah.
wrong number. It is. It's an even 6.6 based off of my calculations. Is that not correct, Miles? You're looking at me funny.
That is correct. It's correct.
Cool.
Yep.
Thank you,
you're right.
Miles. Thank you. I was like, I'm pretty sure my calculator is able to do pretty basic, but not subtraction, division. Thanks. But yeah, so 6.6 for Spicy Wolf season 2. Yeah, that wraps it up. So Miles, what are we watching for? Well, 3 weeks from now in our time, 2 weeks from now by the time this airs.
Yes. First, time for some legacy points.
Yeah.
Somehow, Link Click got a legacy point.
Damn right it did.
Uh,
Let's go.
No. So in
No.
third place, we have the vampire dies in no time, gaining its second legacy point.
Hey.
In second place, we have the review Starlight movie, gaining its first legacy point. And in first place, we're watching season 2 of Haruhi. So get ready for what I'm
Endless
sure
8.
I get to watch
will
4
be
episodes. This is great.
potentially the most contentious episode we've ever had.
It
So
really will be.
bring your boxing gloves. But yeah, we will be watching season 2 of Haruhi.
That
I
is
am
so
so
great.
excited.
That's so great because I was like, I dominated memories because I needed. I'm only gonna be here for like I can only watch it in like 2 days, but now I only have to watch 4 episodes. So this is fantastic. Thank you.
Well, you have to watch 1, 7, and 8 at least
Sure,
because they're
I'll watch 5
okay.
episodes.
I can't wait. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to actually be forced to watch Endless 8. I'm gonna do it. I can't wait.
You're excited to be
Hey,
forced to watch a show.
Pat, no 2 times speed. No
No, I
2 times
won't.
speed
That's
for Endless
fine.
8. You gotta
I'm
do it
good.
raw, bud.
Yeah, because everyone else has totally done that. But yeah, no, I will.
I
will.
haven't.
That's my point. That's yeah, like no, they haven't, but I want to, so I will, because I'm curious at least about what's gonna happen here.
Might as well.
If this leads to us watching the movie, it'll be worth it. Because this is so.
Let's go into our nominations.
I like that.
I will be nominating the disappearance of Haruhi.
Fantastic choice.
You stole my nomination, damn it. All right, that's fine. That's what I get for going last, like usual.
If you would like to nominate the review Starlight movie, you can.
I would like to watch
Ooh.
that, but no, that's later.
They're both
Kat,
incredible.
what do you got?
So just either trying to get a third legacy point or beat out Link Click. Hey, I got it right this time. Right?
Yes.
It's not as
Yes.
fun. It's not as funny.
Um,
You should have said Blue Lock just for the meme.
That wouldn't be authentic.
Well,
no,
never-
I feel like you guys think that I've been shitting you when I say that, right?
I just hope
haven't.
we get to watch Blue Lock
Yeah.
next January.
So I'm going to nominate The Vampire Dies in No Time, and hopefully it beats out Link Click.
Okay. Okie dokie. Jay, what about you?
I'm going to nominate the new-ish rock opera from 2022, Inu-Oh
Let's
from Science
go!
Oh,
Saru.
nice.
We got some banger picks this time, and the Vampire Dies in No Time.
I thought you were when you started saying Inu. Oh, I was like, oh god, what that saw? My Life is Inu-san's Dog. I think is the name of the actual. Like that one. I was like, oh no, don't do it to me, Jay.
Yeah, the rock opera, My Life is Easy.
Well, I don't know, man. Like, there's not many shows within the past year and a half that have had a dog in the title, right? I would hope. I would hope, but like, I don't know. I was just like, wait a minute. That's the first thought that came to mind. But yeah, perfect. All right. Next up, Pete. What about you? What have you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna do Link Click. Let's be real.
God, it's
Doing
probably gonna
Link
beat Haruhi out. It's sad.
We'll have to
God.
see.
I'll just have to keep nominating it.
You nominating it means I can vote for it first, so that's exciting. All right. I'm gonna nominate Vivi, because it has a couple legacy points, and it would be fun to watch Vivi finally.
Didn't
Force
you
myself to
watch
watch.
Vivi?
I watched like
watched,
2
like-
episodes.
Yeah.
I started it, enjoyed it on the plane, and then for whatever reason, the VRV decided that I didn't want to watch the rest of the episodes and said I couldn't. So I didn't get to watch the rest of them. But it meant that I watched Finland Saga, so it was kind of worth it at the end of the day. But yeah, all right, those are our nominations. And that wraps up our watch club for the week. So Pete, why don't you take it away?
If you have made this far and you want to support us, the best way to do so, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review on whatever platform you are watching or listening to us on. Next episode is going to be our Shoujo episode. I'm really looking forward to that. We will be joined by the cast of the Shoujo Sunday podcast. So I get to mark out a little bit about talking about shoujos that we've only done. I think we've done 2 total in Watch Club. So I'm really looking forward to gushing a little bit about a demographic that we don't really get to cover too much. So I'm really looking forward to that. Otherwise, if you're here for Watch Club, we will see you next time for Haruhi Suzumiya Season 2. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.